Hi there, it's Callie O'Donnell with Allstate Insurance Company, agency owner of a local agency here in Colorado Springs, and I'm back with the debt-free squad to give you some information on property insurance. What comes to mind most of all when we think about property insurance is homeowners insurance, right? Because that's what we are most familiar with, but there's actually multiple types of property insurance. Condo insurance, renters insurance, landlords insurance. That's policies for those people who own properties that they rent out that are tenant occupied. So we're going to talk about coverages for those that you own and then for those that you rent. So let's start with homeowners insurance. Much like auto insurance, you have the coverage that covers the home itself, okay? So that would be considered your dwelling coverage. What is the rule of thumb? Whatever it would cost to rebuild. Now here's one of the most frequent misconceptions on how much dwelling coverage do I need. People a lot of times will say, well, I paid this much for the house, or the house is worth this much in today's market, right? So that's what they're thinking they need to insure it for. But what they really need to insure it for is what would it cost to rebuild? And the market value of a home and the cost to rebuild a home can be very, very different. So let's talk about that, all right? At Allstate, what we have is an actual replacement cost calculator where we're going to put in all the very detailed specs on your home, including what's on the floors. Is it carpet? Is it tile? Is it wood? The type of heating you have. Is there air conditioning? The exterior material on the home, the type of roofing material, all those things make a very big difference in what it would cost to rebuild. So when we plug that all into the system, it says, here's what it would cost today to rebuild that home should it burn to the ground. So that's where you want to start. So when you meet with your insurance professional, make sure that you actually do a review of the replacement cost of your home so that you know that you're appropriately insured. So that's kind of where we're going to begin. Next, we want to talk about the deductibles on your home, right? So you actually can have, with most companies, what we call a split deductible. You can have a deductible for the wind and hail damage to your home. Oh, by the way, is typically going to equate to about 80% of all property claims are wind, hail related, and they're typically to the roof, right? So you could look at a different deductible there than for your other all peril deductible. What is all peril? It's what would cover any other loss, any loss that is not wind or hail generated. What type of losses would be covered? Well, fire, theft, vandalism, water. Don't confuse water with flood, right? So you want to talk about that. Make sure you have a clear understanding of what is water damage and what is flood damage. And we'll talk a little bit about flood damage and flood insurance in a moment. You have all those coverages. So lightning, anything Mother Nature, other than earthquake and flood would be covered under your all peril. So you can have different deductibles. Much like we talked about on auto insurance, the higher your deductible, the lower your cost of insurance. So again, think back. If you've been a homeowner for a long time, how many claims have you filed in all the years that you've owned a home? Use that information as to help you predict what your potential risk of is filing a claim in the future, and then set your deductible accordingly. And then take the savings that you have from carrying that higher deductible, put it into that account so you have that available if and when you need to file a claim on your home. Keep in mind that in Colorado, we have a very high incidence of hail, right? So perhaps your roof has been replaced within the last few years because of a hailstorm. Now you could potentially raise your deductible up because a new roof is going to hold up much better to hail than an older roof. So if it does get hailed on again, the propensity of damage is much less, so you may be able to carry that higher deductible right now. Again, I want you to sit down because everybody's needs are very different one from the other, right? Your disposable income, what you have set aside, what you are comfortable with spending for a deductible, how much insurance you really want. Some people want to insure for just the big things, you know. They're not going to insure for the little things. So again, The answer to what deductible is right for you and the kind of coverage and how much coverage you need is it depends on your circumstances. So I encourage you to sit down with your agent and do that review. Let's talk just quickly about condo insurance. Again, now a condo, you typically only need to insure from the studs in. The building itself and the roof are typically insured by the association. Some associations may even cover your contents, so be sure you understand your association's policy to know what coverages you may need. Typically, you want coverage for your contents, everything you have in there, as well as what would it cost if you had a fire and you needed to rebuild, doing all the sheetrock, right? All the ceilings and the flooring materials, all your cabinetry, all your fixtures, so lighting, your toilets and your sinks, those are the things that you need to look at for your condo. And again, the deductible will be the same as your homeowners. Just figure out what is comfortable for you, and that is where your deductible should be on your condo policy. For rental properties, or what we call landlord policies, here we're only insuring the dwelling itself, because most of the time they're not furnished. If they are furnished, you may want contents coverage, but if they're not, you're looking at just the dwelling and then a couple other key coverages that you're going to want to consider. Vandalism and burglary are two coverages that you may want to add to your rental properties. Again, with deductibles, look at what's comfortable for you and how you can maximize your savings. Then we have renter's insurance. Renter's insurance is a policy that you get for all of your belongings in a property that you rent. It also covers loss of use. So, like the Waldo Canyon fire, all of our insureds who had renter's insurance, we were able to pay for their additional living expenses when they were evacuated. Hotel, food, those sorts of things, or if they have to rent another place because they're temporarily displaced. Again, your deductible here is going to help reduce the cost of your insurance, so be sure that you review all of those things with your insurance professional and make sure that you're getting all the multi-policy discounts that you qualify for. When you bundle your insurances with one insurance company, many times they will offer you multi-policy discounts, so be sure to ask about those and get those. So now what I want to do is we're going to actually go outside and we're going to walk around, and I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to help reduce your risk for a loss, because the less number of losses you have, the lower your cost of insurance. Because if you do file losses, you'll lose things like your claim-free rewards and discounts that you get on your properties, and those can be very, very big. Those discounts can be as much as 20% or more. So you want to make sure that you are best positioning yourself to mitigate against potential claims, the little ones that you can avoid. So we're going to walk around and talk about a few things like that. All right, so let's look at a couple of the things that we can do to help prevent damage to our home and also to mitigate for things like fire. When we look here and we see these trees and they grow right up alongside of the house, a good rule of thumb is to keep your tree branches at least 6 feet from the surface of the house on the roof and the sides. And that is to prevent the branches getting up under shingles on the roof and lifting them up, as well as fire exposure, right? You've got trees growing along the house, and that's going to be a pretty big risk if a fire comes through. So that's one piece we want to take a look at. Also, you want to make sure that your gutters are free of all pine needles and debris and leaves so that you don't get clogging and water backup, which could then get up into the roof. And especially in the wintertime, that water gets under the shingles and freezes, and it lifts up your shingles, causing damage to the roof. Here you can see that we've got a wood shake roof, so we really want to pay attention on a wood shake roof that we're not getting lifting on those shakes up there, because that will cause future damage on the roof. Let's see. So when we're looking at mitigating our landscaping around the property, you want to take a look at the trees that are sitting out from the property, and you want to work about 100 feet out from the surface of your home. You want to get your tree branches trimmed up 8 feet from the ground, and you want to remove any dead branches, any dead trees, any debris and dead stuff laying on the ground. Now here the grasses are good. These are kind of wild grasses, and as long as the wild grasses are kept down to, below 8 inches, you're probably pretty safe, and that's to help mitigate for brush fires and fires that might move through here. In Colorado, so many of us have wood-burning stoves and wood-burning fireplaces.
And where is it that we want to keep our wood? We want to keep it close to the door, right? So it's convenient when we go out in the winter and we want to grab that log. But here's the rule. We got to keep that wood about 20 feet from the house. Why? It is kindling and it is fuel for a fire. So you want to make sure that you're not stacking it up next to your home. So as you can see, mitigating for fire risk and other potential losses to your home is very easy and very quick. It's maybe a 5-minute walk around your house to make sure that you're well taken care of.
So here's your Debt Squad challenge for this lesson. I want you, if you are a property owner, to walk around that property and to mitigate for potential losses, okay? We'll see you next time.